Another episode, Hoop Fans, episode 14. I'm K Rose here with my co-host,
What's up, y'all? It's Matt.
Matt. You mean we Hoop Fans? It's Hoop Fans episode 14. And listen here, man. We got an episode today. We don't even really have to, or let me say, I don't even really have to say a whole podcast summary episode because this episode 14 is going to be primarily about game 4 of the 2026 NBA Finals, in which the San Antonio Spurs were defeated by the New York Knicks 107-106 in in a historic basketball game, in a historic playoff game, a historic finals game. The New York Knicks trailed at one point in the third quarter by 29 points. I believe the score was 81-52 in the third quarter. They made a comeback all the way to win the game 107-106 and take a 3-1 series lead against the San Antonio Spurs. Bro, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let me give you some bird's eye view stats from the game, right? Because it
hmm
was insanity, right? Um, so like I said, Knicks trailed by 29 points, 81-52 in the third quarter, came all the way back to win the game. In the first half, the San Antonio Spurs, they hit 14 threes. They set an NBA Finals record for three-pointers in a half, right? In the second half, they went cold, only scoring 30 points in the entire second half, and they went 3 of 17 from three ball in that second half. And the to start the game, Jalen Brunson was 0 for 4. He finished the game with 36 points and 7 assists. OG Ananobi had an amazing game from start to finish, 33 points, 7 for 9 for 3, and the game-winning tip-in with 1.3 seconds left, which won the game, obviously. And one of the biggest plays of the game and one of the most infamous plays in NBA history, and which will be forever at this point, De'Aaron Fox, he basically got his shot blocked. They caused a New York Knicks turnover in which they were up 104, 103, and with 15 seconds remaining when De'Aaron Fox caught the ball, he had a head of steam, open lane to the basket. Instead of dribbling the basketball out like most basketball players would do, he attempted a layup and was blocked by OG Ananobi, which then set up the game-winning tip-in to win the game. Let's talk about it, bro. Um, a lot of stuff to talk about, but I feel we should start from the San Antonio Spurs point of view.
Okay.
So let me get your general thoughts of the game and who is most at fault for this epic collapse, 29-point collapse.
Yeah, I mean, my general just outlook on the game was that, we were witnessing one of the highest highs and the lowest lows from San Antonio. 29-point lead. We pretty much thought the game was by halftime, it's like, all right, this is going to be a blowout. It's going to be a 2-2 series. We're going back to San Antonio. San Antonio might take this thing, right? And then the collapse happened. Probably the biggest meltdown I've ever witnessed a team have. Um, and it was just unreal. Like watching it, I'm just thinking to myself, how does this happen to a professional basketball team, a dominant one at that in this game, and it just all falls apart. Like who's most to blame?
On the San
I
Antonio
went back
Spurs,
and forth with
who
this,
do you hold
bro.
most? Oh, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry to cut you off. On the San Antonio Spurs, who do you hold most responsible?
I mean, I want to say De'Aaron Fox. I mean, I know Mitch Johnson, he has to rally those young guys in those moments. Obviously they're inexperienced, but I just feel like the game was mismanaged so much down the stretch by De'Aaron Fox. I think he had 7 or 8 plays where they just can't happen. Like those mistakes just can't happen. Obviously New York capitalized, they win the game, but it was just play after play where I'm just like, what's going on here? Like, how does this happen from De'Aaron Fox? I mean, he was clutch player of the year one year, looking like a shell of who he used to be, and it's puzzling to me. I just so yeah, I think it was De'Aaron Fox for me.
Okay. So De'Aaron Fox is who you hold most responsible for the San Antonio Spurs. And
Yeah,
so again,
yeah,
bro, game 4 epic. Obviously, the Spurs entered the game coming off a game 3 win, in which each team actually was able to win their road games, which was
Hmm.
something very unique in this series, in which the New York Knicks go to San Antonio, win both game one and game two, both close games down the stretch. The Spurs rally, win game three in New York. And so now this, going into this game four, we knew that this was going to be a very important game in this series and really could potentially seal the series for the Knicks or give the Spurs the upper hand. So for this game to go this way in general, it's really one of the greatest basketball games I think any fan will ever see, honestly, right? Because if you turn the game off at
Right.
halftime, you missed either the greatest resurrection in NBA history or the greatest letdown in NBA history, right? So that's my general thoughts. But to your point, De'Aaron Fox, right? I watched the game over, right? I watched the last 7 minutes and 12 seconds of game four, in which the Spurs made mistake after mistake after mistake, and the Knicks made shot after shot and big play and big play and big play, right? So De'Aaron Fox, let's begin with him. You say you hold him most responsible for the Spurs. Um, a lot of missed shots, a lot of turnovers, ill-advised turnovers, unenforced turnovers, right?
Ill-advised.
Ill-advised, right? Down the stretch. A lot of missed shots outside of he hit a three late down the stretch to I believe take the game 104 to 97. It was a huge three. Outside of that three from Fox, almost all the plays he made down the stretch were negative, right?
Hmm.
And we have to talk about the main play of the game involving him. You have the Knicks down 1-0. I believe this is I'm gonna edit this too because I'm a little off right now.
It was
Let me see.
104, 103.
Hold up. Where's the okay, yeah, okay. This is okay. Spurs lead 106-105, right? Under a minute. Actually, I believe with about under a minute. Spurs lead 106-105. They've got to get a stop, right? They get the stop. I believe Brunson throws up an errant shot.
Hmm.
The ball comes down. It gets tipped out. Actually, De'Aaron Fox himself tips the ball out in front. He tips the ball ahead of himself. And with 106, 105, the score and 15 seconds remaining, he has the ball with a little bit of a lane to the basket. And instead of the correct play, which would have been to either hold the basketball or dribble the basketball out to a corner to force the Knicks players to foul because there was no shot clock. Instead, he attempts this layup that will go down in infamy, man. OG Anunoby, the MVP for the Knicks, I believe, in this game, made a hell of a play to not only hawk Fox down, but to avoid fouling him and pin the shot off the glass and make sure that the Knicks recovered possession of the basketball, right? So, talk to me, bro. In that situation, is there any is there any bail we can give De'Aaron Fox for that particular play?
I truly don't think so. And I watched a little bit ago that reporters asked him. He said, "I just thought I could outrun him." That was his reasoning. And he's a fast player. He used to be fast. He's still very quick. Um, my thing is, bro, when you're 6'2", 6'3" on a breakaway, if you're not gonna dunk it and you got a 6'8" freak of nature with a 7 foot plus wingspan, the chances and plus the circumstances, like your defender in OG Anunoby's coming with everything he has, right? So he's blocking that shot probably close to 9 times out of 10, unless De'Aaron Fox goes and dunks that. So his mentality, to go up with it that week, I think was a problem. If he was going to score, he should have dunked it and get at least try to get fouled. But the proper move would have been to pull it out, like you said, and try to just have them foul you, blow some time off the clock. You know what I mean? Just like anything but a weak layup.
Anything but a shot attempt. And this is this is this
Yeah,
is
I
this is
mean,
what this is what frustrates me, bro, because I'm not gonna lie. After this game, first of all, I was stunned, right? And me and you was texting each other. I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't even really text you last night because I was stunned and shocked at what
I
I had
know.
just witnessed, right? Fell asleep, I woke up, and it was just like I woke up thinking, how did they lose this game, right? And obviously, this was the critical play in the game for a lot of hoop fans. So here's my thoughts. I was going back and forth with a lot of people on Twitter today, right? Because there was a lot of people who attempt to give
For real?
De'Aaron Fox. Yes, bro. Yes, it was a lot of people who attempted to give Fox bail, right, for the play. And I understand to an extent. He tips the ball out, and the way he tipped the basketball out ahead of him, the ball landed in a position to where it was a bang bang play,
Hmm.
right? There was not a lot of time to think necessarily in the play. It was just a only amount of time to react, right? So when he tipped the ball ahead of him, obviously we're taught and we've done millions of drills in our hoop careers where if the ball is tipped out ahead and we're able to recover going towards our basket, a lot of times our natural reaction is to scoop the ball and immediately start our 1-2 step for the layup or the dunk, right? So
Hmm. Hmm.
I understand people attempting to give him bail in that sense because the way the ball bounced, it put him in a position to where your natural reaction as a basketball player would be to pick the basketball up and just immediately score, especially when you can't see anyone directly ahead of you to defend the basket, right? My only thing is this: when he picked the basketball up and he looked to the side, instead of coming to a stop, right? Like I just there's just no excuse. There's just no excuse, right? But here's the thing: I give him bail for the natural reaction. What I can't understand is hoop fans out there saying that he made the right play.
Yeah.
There are some hoop fans out there that are claiming he made the right play, that 99% of hoopers would go for the layup. And I'm just like, that's just incorrect, bro. Here's the thing: a lot of fans are also saying that he got fouled by OG on the play. It's hard to tell on the replay, right? I don't believe he got fouled. I believe he got the basketball first, and then he hit De'Aaron Fox's arm, right? After the
Hmm.
ball was released. But here's the thing that they're saying: OG fouled him. OG fouled him. And I'm like, if he had stopped and held the ball, he would have been guaranteed to get fouled. The Knicks
Yeah.
had to foul. There was no shot clock. They had
Yeah.
to foul to stop the possession. So
Right.
instead of, it's no way it's the right play because there's a chance you missed a shot. There's a chance you get blocked. There's a chance the refs don't call a potential foul.
Right. There's a
And
huge chance.
literally all three of those things happen when instead the reality should have been you
Right.
dribble the ball out, you get fouled, you get free throws, you go to the line.
Right, because how many times have we seen that, like, where it is a fast break with this kind of situation on the line? Obviously not in the finals, but like, where you're up by one or something, there's minimal time left. The defense thinks you're going to take it for a leg, but you just kind of veer off on the baseline and then just kind of take it to the corner. By then, it's like maybe a one-on-two. You have an open guy. You just kind of play keep away, until you get fouled. That's the situation that should have happened. Or, did they have timeouts left? I don't even remember. But like,
They had timeouts left, and we're going to get to that because we're going to talk about Coach Mitch Johnson. So again, we're a little bit helter
like,
skelter, but let's focus it, right? You saying De'Aaron Fox is most
right,
responsible.
right.
You saying De'Aaron Fox is most responsible, right? So here's the thing. Um, if he does the alternative, what we're saying, he dribbles the ball out. Obviously, at worst, if he gets fouled, at worst, you're going to lose about a second or two of clock. So when he went up for the layup, it was about 12 seconds left. Once the Knicks probably came to their senses and was able to foul him, let's say there's 8 seconds left in the ball game. Spurs are up 106, 105. At minimum, you just milk the clock for 1 or 2 seconds. And
Hmm.
even if he misses both, now that puts the Knicks in a situation where a less clock is available. If he makes one shot, that puts you in a situation to where the Knicks have to come down and only a three-pointer beats you, right? It would be 107, 105. If Fox gets fouled and he makes both free throws, now that puts you in a position where not only did you milk the clock, but now only a three will take you to overtime, right? And that gives you
Right.
that type of cushion to where no matter what happens, either they hit the three Either they hit the three and we go to overtime, or possibly they come down, we foul, right, to
Hmm.
not give up the three-pointer and make them shoot free throws. And then that's how the game proceeds from there so that we can win the game and tie the series 2-2. So I'm not trying to hear from no hoop fans at all that claim that he made the right play to go for the layup. That was absolutely not the right play. And that play will live on in infamy along with the J.R. Smiths and certain other blunders we've seen in NBA Finals history, right? Um, so for me, we talked about that particular play, right? For me, bro, I hold Coach Mitch Johnson as most responsible for the Spurs collapse, bro. I feel like for all the success they had with their shot making and 3-point shooting, again, finals record 14 threes in the first half. For them to go cold in the second half and for Coach Mitch Johnson to allow the Knicks to come back from a 29-point deficit without really utilizing his timeouts properly,
Hmm.
mismanaging his substitutions. Um,
Huge.
I don't believe that any clear messaging was conveyed to the team in terms of what types of shots they should be taking once their 3-point shooting went cold, right? Because as the lead was going down and Nick started to come back, logic says as basketball team, you have to attack the basket, right? Attack the basket, get good shots, hopefully go to the free throw line and stop the bleeding. Instead, at one point in the game in the second half, the Spurs missed 8 consecutive 3-point shots. So to me, Coach Mitch Johnson is most responsible. What did you see from him?
No, I wanted to piggyback when you said the mismanagement of substitution because that was huge to me. I thought this game, right, specifically in the first half, in totality, Wemby played 44 minutes, 5 more minutes than he played last game, and it was a blowout for the first half of the game. So he should have, in theory, rested Wemby a little bit more because down the stretch we saw him fatigued so much to the point where it was tough for him to even have legs on shots to defend to move. And I credit that to just mismanagement overall of subs, um, especially with your best player, right? Like he had a poor game. I mean, he shot 9 for 25 from the field, 2 for 8 from the 3-point line, and then 4 for 7. We saw him miss two crucial free throws, bro, that could have, ended the game for them. So that was the glaring part. If we're gonna get kind of super technical with where I think Mitch Johnson messed the game up, I think it was there. Like the
Timeouts and
mismanagement, especially with
substitutions.
Wemby and resting him and getting him enough. Yes.
Absolutely, bro. I agree. Timeouts and substitutions, which are two of the primary job descriptions for the coach, right? Like he has to handle the substitutions properly, he has to handle the timeouts properly, and at the stage of the NBA Finals, right, those type of decisions are crucial, especially with a young, inexperienced team like the Spurs have. I totally agree. Like you said, Wemby played 44 minutes, and like you said, had a very poor shooting game, 9 for 25. But
Mhm.
think about it, bro. In the first quarter, he was 5 for 7. So that speaks even more to your fatigue point because as the game waned on and on, he lost stamina, right? He didn't have enough stamina to continue to play at a high level, right? Missed a lot of easy shots, a lot of easy alley oops that he normally finishes at the rim. He bobbled the basketball a few
Mhm.
times, missed putbacks, was flailing all around the floor, right? And was really off balance for a large majority of the game, particularly in the second half. And here's two things, right? Because I hold Coach Mitch Johnson responsible. Like you said, with the lead that the Spurs had, you have to be able to buy Wimby time. But
Have
this is
to.
where another player comes into factor with for me, who I've been texting you on the side as we watch these games. The Spurs don't have a backup center.
Mhm.
Luke Cornett,
Yeah.
when he gets in the game, he kills the Spurs. So on one hand, it's almost like I understand the reluctance of Mitch Johnson to take Wimby out the game because his only other option is Luke Cornett. And he gets murdered in those minutes. But with a game, with the Spurs ahead 29, 25 points at certain points in the game, you got to be able to throw to buy Wimby some time. And he didn't do that. He didn't do that. He didn't do that.
Yeah. I mean, they don't even really have ability to go like a small ball 5 man either. I mean, like there's just no depth in the big man position. Incredible guard play across the board, but you're absolutely right. Like there's no faith in that center in the backup department. So it's like you do or die by Wemby.
You do. I mean, I think Wimby may have averaged 30 minutes a game this season, right? Not a very high workload for the usual superstar. So he already had some uncertainties when it comes to his conditioning and just how much he can play. So to stretch his minutes to 44 minutes a game, I get it. Game 4 is a must win, but that is why it's much more important to have a rested Wimby in the game's crucial moments versus playing him the entire game to where he basically was a non-factor for 50% of the game, right? And you needed him down the stretch. And not
Hmm.
only offensively, bro, but I think where it hurt them a lot was defensively. A lot of shots in that late fourth quarter, Cat driving to the basket, Brunson driving to the basket, Alvarado driving for the basket. A healthy, excuse me, a rested Wemby with energy contests those shots at the rim. If you watch this game back, you'll look and see how many times that got the Knicks drive to the basket, and Wemby didn't even make an effort to get to the rim to protect it. Right? He was that tired and
Hmm.
fatigued. It was really, really bad, and it hurt them down the stretch. Another factor when I watched the last 7 minutes and 12 seconds of the game, bro, Champagny hurt them bad, bro. Defensively, Champagny hurt them bad. He didn't have a great offensive game. I think he went 2 for 7. Really was a non-factor offensively, but down the stretch with Castle being in foul trouble, he
Hmm.
hurt them defensively. Time after time in crucial possessions, I believe it was Brunson twice. Shake and bake, shake him to the basket, layup. Shake him to the basket, gets fouled for free throws. Uh, Alvarado hit a crucial, nasty spin move in the paint, gets by Champagny
Bro,
for the layup.
let's
Crucial,
Philly.
crucial baskets in which the Spurs were trying to hold off the
Yeah.
Knicks, and they just chipped down at the 10 point, 11 point lead.
Hmm.
Champagny was a cone on defense down the stretch, man.
100%. 100%.
100%. So let's talk about it, bro. What else? What else? What else can we get to? Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. So Mitch Johnson, substitutions, timeouts, some of the guys that he played at certain times of the game, and I felt like, lastly, bro, on Mitch Johnson, his defensive game planning was just all over the place last night, right? Um, in the second half. I felt like the Spurs weren't very clear if they were doubling Brunson. They weren't very clear if they were switching certain possessions, right? And a lot of times these possessions ended up with open shots for the Knicks, open swing three pointers, open skip passes because the Spurs were just not on one accord. And that's just on Mitch Johnson at the end of the day.
100%. Yeah.
So let's flip it, bro. The Knicks won the game. And clearly we were rooting for the Spurs to win. That's why we started with them. But the Knicks made history last night. 29-point comeback. Never happened before in the NBA Finals. In a historic fashion in their home court. The Garden was rocking last night. Who was most responsible for their comeback last night? And talk to me about that. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think overall, the person who was most responsible for chipping away the heaviest would be OG. But Brunson had, like, I want to say it was like a quiet 36 points because I looked at the stat sheet after the game and I'm like, he had 36 points. He led the team in scoring. Um, it was a full-blown effort from him in the second half, but I would say the most impactful was OG. I mean, the dude is special. Just big shot making, high percentage, getting up a lot of volume three pointers, but knocking down a bunch of them. It's like to see. His offensive game has developed to a point where it's like he's one of the best small forwards in the game right now, and his offensive package, bro, is elite, but it's basic. He's not out there he's just making the right plays, like time and time again. So, he was the most impactful for me. Um, and Brunson, I mean, Brunson was second, but yeah, OG was definitely first.
I can't agree more. Those are the two that we have to start with, right? Let's just say this. For his heroics last night, OG very well might get a statue outside of Madison Square Garden, man. And
Ooh, hey.
listen, he had two amazing plays. That block on De'Aaron Fox, which we spoke about earlier, and the tip in to win the game with 1.2 seconds left. And the statue could be either or, right? Either the
Mhm.
block or the putback. That putback was amazing, right? Obviously it was a blunder in terms of the Spurs not boxing out, but him being able to look for the pass because he was actually wide open when they doubled the Spurs doubled Brunson on the last possession. He could have kicked it to OG for the open three, and that would have been a great play because OG has been on fire from outside of the arc, like you said. He was looking for the pass, didn't receive it. Soon as Brunson shot the early three pointer with about 4.5 seconds left, for him to have the wherewithal to crash and to
Mhm.
have the athleticism and coordination to not only find the basketball perfectly in the air, but from outside of the circle, guide that basketball into the basket amongst traffic, right? Because he had other rebounders around him trying to go get that
Hmm.
basketball as well. That was an amazing play, right? And I agree with you, bro. I believe that OG was the MVP for the Knicks last night. He's the most responsible for their win for a lot of
Yeah.
things that you stated, bro. 7 from 9 for 3 point range, 10 for 15 from the field, super efficient. And he's what we call a superstar role player, right? He's a superstar role player, OG Ananobi. And at times last night, it's almost like you're watching Kawhi Leonard from them early Spurs championships, right? Where, like you said, he's not creating a lot of offense for himself, but timely 3 point shots, always in the right area, right? Super efficient. One or two dribbles when the defense is able to close out and actually, get out there on his 6'8" frame. One or two dribbles, pull up for the
Hmm.
midi, right? Strong. So on the other end of the floor, he's able to guard multiple positions. He's been guarding Wimby at times this series. He's been guarding Castle at times this series on the switches, right? So he's been super helpful on the defensive end, and he has just been flaming on the offensive end. And last night, his 33 points throughout the entire game was crucial because he kept them in the game. He helped
Hmm.
chip away at the lead, and then he finished the game for them. So I can't agree more. I'll speak on Jalen Brunson briefly. I agree with you, bro. That's a quiet 36. I didn't know that he had 36 at the time the game ended, but I do believe some of that is because the Knicks went on an offensive avalanche in that second half. So after a while,
Hmm.
it was like numbing to watch. It was like I don't know. I can't keep track of all the plays because it seems like they're hitting everything. Everybody's
Bro,
scoring.
it just seems like every shot was like 10 points. Like, you know what I mean? Like the points just came heavy, like and quick.
Bro. And if we felt that way, damn sure the Spurs felt that way because listen, the Knicks have shown, bro, given us evidence that they're just this type of team, right? That they will never quit. And I was texting a couple of my homies earlier today, and I was just like, wow, obviously they're not all Villanova guys on the Knicks, right? Not all of their best players and their rotation guys are from Villanova, but a good majority of them are Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, um, all Villanova guys. And I'm just like, wow, those three guys, along with the other players, OG Ananobi, Cat now, Alvarado, we're just seeing a certain intangible, like a willpower, a
Hmm.
never say die, a never die attitude during these games. I never felt as a hoop fan watching that game with them being down 29 that the game was over. I never felt like the game was over. Um, so it's
Yeah.
truly unbelievable.
Bro, I gotta say, I was texting my dad during the game, and he's like, the Spurs better be careful because, the Knicks can come back from this. They've proved they can come back from a 20-point deficit. Um, so, he called that in a way, and I was like, that's crazy. But I think we got to give some props to a guy that gets often overlooked as a Knicks role guy, and that's Alvarado. Um, I don't know if, people really realize the talent that this kid has, coming from New Orleans. I don't think a lot of people knew him other than for his nickname, which is crazy, Grand Theft Alvarado. And then, that kind of that defensive strategy that he kind of coined when he used to stand in the corner and try to run up on people and steal the ball. Like he was kind of more of like I don't want to say a novelty player, but like his skill set I feel like got often overlooked. Um, and man, like since coming to New York, he has showcased, bro, he's a knockdown 3-point shooter. He's obviously gritty on the defensive end. And he's got some offensive wherewithal. Like you mentioned that move he put on Champagny, the cross behind the back spin move, whatever it was, and then for the lay, and then proceeded to hit two big threes in crunch time. Like I don't know if people, expected that from him, but he does not shy away from the big moments, when he's tasked to make a big play or two. So I think it was one of the unsung heroes last night too.
Not in New York City. He won't be unsung in New York City, right? He is
For sure.
he's New York City's own and grew up in New York City, born and raised, went to Christ the King there. So the New York Knicks fans have a certain affinity for Alvarado because he's one of them truly, right? He's a native. And you got to
Hmm.
give credit to the New York organization for trading for him to make this playoff run, right? They traded for him at the deadline. And you have to give so much credit, and we haven't mentioned him this whole episode. Shame on us. We have to give a ton of credit for to coach Mike Brown for
For
sticking
sure.
with him down the stretch in the fourth quarter, right? Mikal Bridges didn't have a good game. This is his second consecutive non-factor game for him, right? Didn't really do too much this game. And Mike Brown decided to go with Alvarado, which was a very, very smart decision. And a lot of people were smart to say this and speak on this. Coach Mike Brown put Alvarado in the game to give the New York Knicks another ball handler besides Jalen Brunson, right? Because Jalen Brunson throughout the series looks like he's been worn down by Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, their on ball
Hmm.
pressure for 94 feet, right? It's just tough for him to continue to deal with that type of pressure and have to handle the ball, score the basketball, and make plays for others. It's a lot. Coach Mike Brown throws point guard Alvarado in the game to take that pressure off of Brunson and allow him to just focus on scoring in the half court. And like you said, he just made big play after big play. I criticized Coach Mitch Johnson for not really giving a clear message, I believe, to the Spurs players on how they should defend certain possessions. So a lot of times they were doubling and trapping Brunson off of pick and rolls. A lot of times that basketball would end up into Alvarado's hands, and he made them pay two
Hmm.
3 pointers and a nasty spin layup on Champagny. So he definitely was an unsung hero. He killed it last night. So yeah, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Game 4 was so epic because there was like, you could probably make a documentary on, and I think Ben Stiller's actually making like a New York Knicks documentary. He was there filming, one of the celebrities filming at Madison Square Garden. But you could make a documentary on this game alone. It was so many different things that happened that it's really hard for us to get to everything, even in this particular episodes. We didn't even talk about Wemby's flagrant foul, the situation, and when everything was going smooth in the first half and he baited Mitchell Robinson into basically chucking him into the neck, and
Hmm.
it was swaggy because as soon as he got checked, he fell on the ground like you said, pointed to his head. I'm in your head. He said something like, "I'm in your head, boy." Like I'm in your head. yo, yo, yo. Obviously, when they showed the replay, there's no audio, so he just looked like he was from America. Like I'm in your head, boy. I'm in your
He
head,
did.
bro. If they would have won the game, that would have been legendary. Instead, it's the beginning of these clips that will show that I'm in your head, and then the Spurs losing after having a 29-point lead. So, what did you think about the flagrant situation?
The elbow to Cat or
Well,
um
the elbow to Cat,
the Mitchell Robinson.
Alvarado kind of like it looked like he tackled Wimby at one point by his legs. Like it was a lot of physicality in that game.
Yeah, I mean specifically with Wemby and him dishing out flagrants and him getting flagrants. I've heard like a narrative that I don't know if I can completely get down with, but they're like Wemby's a dirty player. They're like Wemby. They're like a lot of those overseas guys are dirty players, but specifically with Wemby, there is this trending narrative that he is a dirty player. Do I think he's a dirty player? No, but I think the playoffs have put a big chip on his shoulder where he's like, if guys are going to be dirty with me, I'm gonna give it to him right back. So like, I don't think he's a career dirty guy, but I think he feels a little. He's like, fuck it. If they're about to dish it to me, I'm gonna give it right back. So I don't condone it. I don't like to see a game full of flagrant fouls. I like physicality, but I mean, no, I don't. I like that it gives him a little edge. I'll say that. It gives him a little edge, but I wish that, if he's going to start barking, we got to back it up and win. So,
Absolutely. I mean, you have to back it up and win, or the people that you're barking at, the teams and the fans of those
yeah,
teams that you bark at, they will be quick to show you that you did not hold up your end of the bargain and do what you said you was going to do. And like I said, in that first half, it looked great, man. I was like, "Whoo!" I like the energy.
it
You know what I
did.
mean? I mean, your head, everything's physical. But like you said, do I think Wimby's dirty? No, I think it's too early to say that. Has he had a lot of dirty plays this postseason? Yes,
Hmm.
he has. Right. He had a elbow to the neck of Nas Reed in the, I believe that was the second round against
Hmm.
Minnesota,
Hmm.
which was pretty crazy. He's had a few other plays. He obviously had a chop to the neck. I believe it was accidental to Cat in Game 4, but that was called a flagrant, and I think the refs called that a flagrant, obviously because it constituted it, but also because of a lot of the pressure from the media and fans on social media just speaking on the physical play and the dirty plays by Wimby. And it's gotten him to the point where if he is assessed another flagrant foul in the series, he will be suspended a game. So it's a big factor because that may limit how physical he plays moving forward, knowing that it could cost him a game if this series gets extended. So very important, very important. Do I believe he's a dirty player? No. Has he made some dirty plays? Yes. And unfortunately, it appears to me that Wimby has to act as his own enforcer at this current stage. There's no one on the Spurs roster who you would say is the guy that's going to just enforce and protect the superstar guys, right? It seems like Wimby has to kind of take on that role himself because they don't have a Julius Randle. They don't have a Zebo. They don't have a DeMarcus Cousins. They don't have like back in the day, the Davis brothers or what's my man Charles Oakley, right? They don't
Hmm.
have that type of player on their team. James Johnson in today's game, right, who was on the Pacers last year. So unfortunately, he's had to act as his own enforcer, and that has led to some physical altercations. Moving forward, bro. Series is 3-1 for the Knicks. They have a chance to close it out this upcoming Saturday, 2 days from now, in San Antonio. So the Spurs are going back home. How do
Hmm.
you feel about their chances in Game 5? And do you think it's actually possible that they can come back from a 3-1 deficit?
I mean, it's definitely possible. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't.
Give me a
I don't
percentage.
think, let's say it's a 40% chance
That's a big.
that
That's
they
okay.
could. Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's not like out of the realm of possibility, but I just think there's like a 60% chance that New York, I don't think New York's going to win the next game. I think they win in New York because it goes back, right? It goes San Antonio, then New York, then San Antonio,
Correct.
last
Yep.
game.
Game 5, San
If
Antonio. Game 6, New
Yeah,
York. Game 7, San Antonio.
yeah, I mean, if they push it to a game seven, let's say they do, right? You think San Antonio wins a game seven?
Of course, but they got to win 2 games before we even get there.
That'd be. I mean, you have to win it at that point. You come that far just to lose, ultimately losing the game seven. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think that they lose game six in New York,
It's
which I
it's
hate to
interesting.
talk
It's
about.
it,
But
it it's interesting, bro, because let's look at it, right? Game 1, Knicks win 105 to 95. Very close game, and even though they won by 10 points, pretty much a close game. From the buzzer starting to the buzzer sounding, right? Game 2, Knicks win by 1 point, 105, 104, and we talked about this last episode. That was the crucial Wimby turnover when at the end of the game he turns the ball over, throws it off the back of a player, right?
Mhm.
So the Knicks won by 1 point. So they stole home court and won both games in San Antonio by a combined 11 points. Game 3, uh, Spurs win 115-111. So despite the series being 3-1 heading into game 5, these matches have been very, very close. And unfortunately, 3 out of the 4 games, the Spurs have committed errors in the last few minutes of these games to basically give the game
Yeah.
away. I thought Stefan Castle had a very, very interesting quote post game where he stated Coach Mitch Johnson told them that they have basically dictated the outcome of each of the 4 games in the finals so far. And I have to agree, their
Hmm.
blunders in most of these games have cost them the 3-1, you know what I mean? It has put them in this situation. They're making critical mistakes at crucial moments
Yeah.
that are deciding ball games. Um,
You're right.
so I say all that to say, I believe they will win game 5 because they will be back home in San Antonio. And
Hmm.
I think they're playing with house money. They have nothing to lose. They're going to give it their all. They're going to shoot the ball with confidence. And I think they will win game 5. They've shown that they can win in New York and that they're comfortable gaining a lead in New York City at Madison Square Garden. So it's
Hmm.
possible. If I had to give it a percentage, I would give the Spurs a 20% chance to make a historic 3-1 comeback. That's only ever been done before by one team, the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2016.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Do you get the sense and do you get the feeling that this could be the team that does it? You know, sometimes since it's been done, right, with Cleveland, we saw that like Cinderella storybook ending. Do you feel like this would be the team to do it or
I but
not?
I believe they have the upper echelon talent, superstar
Hmm.
wise, to make it feasible. And I'm talking
Hmm.
about Wimby. If Wimby just decided to hell with it all, to hell with waiting a year, to hell with
Hmm.
development, it's
Hmm.
my time to take this championship right now. And he goes full Giannis like he did a few years ago in 2021 against the Phoenix Suns in the NBA Finals and just decides to dominate the game for 40 minutes on both ends of the floor and become the player that we believe he will become in a few years. If he just decides to become that right this second, I believe it's possible. Likely,
Hmm.
no. I mean, I give the 80% chance that the Knicks will close this series out at some point. Um, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Spurs haven't given us enough evidence down the stretch of games that they think they can close out and make the proper plays to win three straight games. Like it's very
Hmm.
hard to see that with the mistakes and the blunders that they're making, and with the shot making and the playmaking and the timely shots that the Knicks are making down in these crucial possessions. So not very likely, but it's possible.
Hmm. Bro, I remember hearing something a couple weeks ago when they were in the OKC series, and I forget who said it, so I don't want to really quote them. But essentially, they said that the San Antonio Spurs play like it's like a 9 or 11 game series, like they have time. And when I heard that, I'm like, that fits the bill for what how they play and how, their inexperience and their youth is. They play like they have time, right? And I just wish that they could grasp it now and just take it, like you said, and just go full throttle and say to hell with the future. Let's just go now and win it. So
Because in today's NBA, bro, there is no future. We haven't had a repeat
true,
champion in almost 10 years. So any we was just talking last year about how well some people were just talking, we spoke on this last episode, OKC might start the dynasty and they bowed out this season in
right?
the Western Conference Finals. So nothing is guaranteed. You have to seize
Hmm.
these opportunities and the Knicks are doing so.
Right, right. You can't take it for granted, like you said. Like you cannot take it for granted. Who knows, who's going to be healthy next year? You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Who knows what can happen? And so obviously we're very Spurs biased. We were rooting for the Spurs this series, but I have to give a ton of credit to the New York Knicks. At this current juncture, they look like they don't look like it. They are seizing the opportunity, right? And like I said, they have a never quit attitude. And they have a lot of guys that are very easy to root for in that New York Knicks team. And when you ask me about the 3-1 deficit and if it's possible, one factor that I think is a big deal is the fact that obviously in these last three remaining games, potential games, San Antonio has home court for two of them, game five and game seven. If they are able to force a game six
hmm.
by winning this upcoming game five, when they go back home to New York, one thing that a lot of people are speaking about is does the home court, does New York and Madison Square Garden actually help the Knicks? And the reason I ask that is because I heard Bill Simmons talk about this on his podcast. The anxiety that the New York Knicks crowd has at times, it can look like it puts a lot of pressure on the Knicks players to perform well, right? So let's say the Spurs
Hmm.
are able to force game six and take it back to Madison Square Garden. It will be a ton of pressure on the New York Knicks to win that championship in that building. Like it will be
Hmm.
immense pressure. And if they do not, it may be a riot outside. So I think that factors into any chance that San Antonio might have, that may help them.
It's a great take, bro.
You
That's
know
a
what I
great
mean?
take.
That may help them. And here's the thing. We didn't even speak about this. I saw a clip. I'm sure you may have saw it. When the Spurs obviously they lost the game and they were on their way back to their hotel in New York City. The crowd is it was like a riot out there outside of their hotel. You see Wemby and the players get off the team bus to walk into the hotel. One of the New York fans outside of the hotel threw an egg that bounced off like a light pole, and the egg splatter smacked Wemby all on his mitt. So it's like, bro, bro,
Disrespect.
bro. It's not funny. It's actually not funny at all. But super disrespectful. They're beating up anyone that comes to Madison Square Garden with a Spurs jersey. Like this New York crowd and this city is getting, they're crazy over this right now. So I say all that to say, if it's a potential situation where somehow the Knicks lose game 5 and lose game 6, if you're a Spurs fan, you better not act like it if you want to get
Hmm.
home safely.
Yeah, and just kind of lastly, my last input on this. You mentioned game seven or game six in Madison Square Garden. It's immense pressure for the Knicks to close out in that atmosphere, knowing that if they don't, it's going back and it's like a toss-up 50-50. And that could fuel San Antonio just knowing that if they can just make it out. And again, we got to get through game five first. But if they can just make it out and try to extend this, then it's 50-50, 3-3, winner take all. So
Winner take all.
I'm hoping that's what it comes down to. I would hate to see it 4-1. I mean, as much credit as the Knicks deserve, like I just would hate to see a 4-1, especially the way the series has went. Um, if we're being honest, it should be 3-1 San Antonio. Like,
Well,
or at least 2-2.
I
I
would say at
mean,
worst it should be 2-2. I'm with you,
yeah.
bro. Even if we weren't, I mean, obviously we're rooting for the Spurs, but even if we weren't, obviously any hoop fan wants should want this series to continue because it's been
Oh
so
yeah.
entertaining, right? And these games have been so close. So I would love to see it go 7, no matter who wins. Um,
Hmm.
and I agree with you, bro. Obviously they have to get through game 5. I was so disappointed after last night's loss and just wanting the Spurs to win that I almost was like, I might not even tune in to the first half of game 5. I obviously will, but it's almost like they got to prove to me that they want to win it. Like I got to look at
Right.
the score and see that they're actually making concerted effort to win the game, or are they going to
Facts.
lay down and just let the Knicks win their championship, right? Um, so yeah, man, it's going to be exciting to finish up the episode, bro. Let's get some predictions. Who wins game 5?
I got San Antonio winning game five. I like they have to. I mean, I like their chances.
You like the chances? I have San Antonio winning game 5. Who wins the series and in how many games then? If they, who wins the series and how many games? With that
Four,
bias aside,
yeah, biased aside, 4-2 Knicks game six.
Knicks are going to
They
close it
take
out in
it.
New York City. That is going to be crazy. My prediction, I'm riding. I said bias aside, I actually I believe the Spurs can win in 7. I'm going to predict that the Spurs win in 7. I do feel like that. If I do believe they're going to win game 5, and I believe that pressure environment in game 6 is going to be unlike anything that the Knicks have ever felt. And I think that the Spurs are going to benefit tremendously from that. I got Spurs in 7. I got
Shit.
Spurs in 7, and
I
I should
hope.
put a bet on it. So um, great episode 14, man. I feel like we got a little rhythm towards the second half, similar to
Hmm.
the Knicks. So yeah, man, episode 14. I'm K Rose,
It's your boy Matt signing off.
and we out, man.